In the initial phase, the most important thing for an MSP is to be able to scale easily. You find yourself with both your own and customer infrastructures, and you don't know how much growth it's going to have because you don't know how many customers there might be and what technology they might have, and you need the monitoring platform to be scalable and grow as you and your customers grow. For any MSP when starting out, it makes sense to look for a solution that's inexpensive, simple to install, and doesn't have many requirements. As the MSP grows, both them and their customers, that platform proves to be totally lacking and obsolete, which requires much more configuration flexibility. That's where the more professional solution with much more scalability is always chosen. ASAC is an Asturian consulting company that has more than 140 employees distributed throughout the national territory, and whose main asset or business focus is the provision of cloud services for our customers. We have a different portfolio of products and services, all of them focused on providing data center services, including IaaS services, PaaS, SaaS, disaster recovery, etc. In the construction of that first data center, we had few clients and little architecture, and we started with a very simple and open source monitoring solution because we didn't know how much growth we were going to have, and we didn't know how many clients and what infrastructure they were going to have. And we started with that simpler solution. As we grew and we saw that both the technology and the amount of equipment that we had to manage evolved, it became totally unmanageable, and we had to go for a commercial solution with much more scalability and much more power in the configuration. ASAC has gone through the same process of growing from a small MSP to a large one since we started our first data center to the two we have now. We went through the same process. We started with a cheap open source solution, and in the end, we adopted a very powerful enterprise solution such as PRTG. PRTG as a monitoring tool currently offers us many advantages. One of them is the possibility of prevention. It allows us to know the status of the servers and the services of those servers in our virtualized network, so we can prevent any downtime or incident. Another advantage is scaling. It allows us to analyze the state of the infrastructure at peak production times, and also to be able to make more realistic and controlled scaling. Our company is dedicated to the development of business applications in cloud. Our main product is Ecosoft Web, a CRM web ERP. And we also offer hosting services and development of corporate websites and e-commerce. We've chosen to use the services of ASAC because before ASAC, the number of servers that we were managing in our infrastructure of services began to become too large and generated us complications when it came to keeping the services active, to avoid problems of all kinds, crashes or any alarms of a defective service. And ASAC gives us the ability to monitor all servers and services of the infrastructure in a simplified and effective way. Nowadays, we have much more time in our work thanks to the monitoring tool, because it allows us to dedicate ourselves to what we really need to, which is the development of our own application. In fact, since we've been using it, we've grown by a significant number of clients. We're very happy, and I think it was a good decision on our part. The value that PRTG brings to ASAC is huge. On the one hand, the training of our technicians, on the other hand, the scalability of the solution compared to other open source solutions, and above all, the integration of native sensors that allow us to monitor all the infrastructure we need in the data center environment. The use of native sensors in PRTG makes the work much easier and reduces the configuration hours. The experience with PRTG is fortunately very good. We've grown a lot, both in systems and infrastructure, and we've been able to monitor everything without any problems with PRTG. So the value it gives us, both for us and our customers, is very high in terms of monitoring, management, operation, and especially the daily use of the tool. As a systems technician, PRTG gives me several advantages, as we used to consider ourselves IT firefighters. We were always putting out fires, and thanks to PRTG, we're now preventing IT problems. We're now aware we have a global vision of all the systems we've installed. We're able to anticipate problems because we know when the server is running out of resources or storage. We're able to anticipate when a certificate expires, for example. Countless things that were happening before, but we didn't have that vision. And above all, we weren't able to anticipate when the problems occurred. We have much more control of computer systems thanks to PRTG because of the multitude of sensors that we use for monitoring computer systems. The PRTG configuration process can be as granular as you want. You can configure anything from a single ping monitor to more complex things like launching scripts and so on. PRTG helps you save time at work because you have a better overview of the systems. You're able to prevent all the problems from occurring, which means you can save a lot of time and work. PRTG has meant a lot to ASAC because we've been able to monitor all of our customers' infrastructure in a very simple way, saving a lot of costs, both in configuration, operation, troubleshooting, and in the end, all of that translates into customer satisfaction. It's been really worthwhile for ASAC to switch to PRTG because it's allowed us to discover a solution that could scale very easily, that could train technicians very quickly, and monitor all the elements that we need for our customers, both those that we have today and those that we'll have tomorrow with future expansions. My recommendation for other MSPs who are in more or less the same situation that we are is to switch to PRTG immediately. You'll save a lot of time in configuration, problems, support, and scalability.